A growing trend in Hollywood has been rebooting old franchises, or finally delivering us long-awaited sequels to fan-favorite films. While some of these have been sitting in development for over a decade, due to various reasons, there's hope that the continuations will still capture that same magic. However, sadly, rarely few do. Either way, there's an avalanche of sequels currently in production. So many that we had to break it into two separate lists. And we could even potentially do a third and fourth. Before we begin, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Every new sub helps us achieve our goal and keeps us motivated to create new content. With that being said, I'm your host, Jamie, and here are 20 sequels currently in production. Number 1, The Legend of Conan. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't feel one way or another about Conan the Barbarian. I've never been into high fantasy or sword and sorcery, but I've always admired its fans from afar. Several things do excite me about The Legend of Conan, the third film of the Conan the Barbarian series, not counting the spin-off or remake. First off, screen legend Arnold Schwarzenegger is set to reprise his role as a titular character. Secondly, iconic cult film director Paul Verhoeven has stated he wants to direct the third film and is allegedly attached to do so. He's directed such classics as Total Recall, RoboCop, and Starship Troopers. And lastly, Chris Morgan, yes, as in Fast and Furious 3 through 8 scribe, is attached to pen this film. All these factors mean a robust studio budget and, at the very least, great action scenes. Chris Morgan, left to his devices, not only infuses his stories with great one-liners and pathos, but absolutely unhinged, almost fantastical action scenarios. With Verhoeven behind the camera and Arnold's screen presence mixed in, this is an elixir for success. So keep an eye out next year for either an update or release. We'll let you know when we find out. Number 2, Gladiator II. Gladiator is often regarded as legendary director Ridley Scott's magnum opus. I'd argue that it's Alien, but that's a video for another day. Rumors of Gladiator II have echoed around Hollywood for over 20 years. And it's no longer a fantasy. Ridley Scott returns as director, and by the time this airs, a trailer for Gladiator II will have dropped. The most exciting thing about the film for me is the cast, which includes everyone's favorite father, Pedro Pascal of The Mandalorian and The Last of Us fame, Denzel Washington, and Joseph Quinn, whose character in Stranger Things stole our hearts. This part is going to pick up from where we left off in the first film, with both Commodus and Maximus dead, and we meet Commodus' nephew who worshipped Maximus. Lucius enters the arena and he is going to have a lot of fights, winning over the crowds as time goes on. I'm very curious to see how this plays out and can't wait until November 22nd this year to see it. Number 3, Heat 2. Director Michael Mann's 1995's classic crime thriller Heat was said to have been an inspiration for Christopher Nolan's 2008 comic book film masterpiece, The Dark Knight. Heat 2 is also set to be helmed by Michael Mann, who has stated production will begin sometime this year. That being said, Mann has already published the novel for Heat 2, in which he is basing the script for the film on. So if you're absolutely fiending for a follow-up, well, you probably knew about the book and read it already. So for now, you're just going to have to wait until 2025 at the earliest for a release on the film. Number 4, The Karate Kid 6. It has been said that the team behind The Karate Kid 6 is different than the team behind the masterful Cobra Kai series. Although if Part 6 chooses to ignore everything that has happened in the hit streaming series, that would greatly undermine both the films and the series. Cobra Kai is a mature and ingenious sequel to the Karate Kid film series that premiered in the 80s, and as far as I'm concerned, the definitive sequel. Regardless, the most exciting thing about Part 6 is that it canonizes the events of what was once thought to be the Karate Kid remake of 2011. Jackie Chan will return along with the original Karate Kid himself, Ralph Macchio. Keep your eyes out in May of 2025 for a potential release date. I am so excited for this. Number 5, Megan 2.0. It's no surprise that Megan 2.0 was announced almost immediately after Megan opened number 1 at the box office with critical acclaim. Megan was a well-made film that, despite familiar themes and premise, stood out for its humor, pathos, topicality, as well as its stunt and voiceover work by the performers who brought the character Megan to life. AI tech has exploded over the past year, so Megan 2.0 has a perfect opportunity to be a scathing indictment of its usage. As of now, Megan 2.0 is set for release at the beginning of 2025, with all the cast and crew returning. My hope for it is that the studio releases a full rated R cut the first time around. While I'm fine with PG-13 horror films, grisly deaths are a part of the appeal to Megan. With the first film, the audience could see the filmmakers holding back and cutting away to make it PG-13. Luckily, they released an unrated version for home release that feels like the version the filmmakers envisioned. Number 6, Constantine II. If I'm to be candid, the quality of a Constantine II could go either way. I wasn't personally a fan of the 2005 Constantine, but like the rest of civilization, I love Keanu Reeves. And he's arguably at the height of his career, thanks mainly to the immense popularity of the John Wick flicks, which are defining action masterpieces themselves. The bar has risen quite high with comic book films since 2005, as well as their popularity. Though their popularity has waned in recent years, comic book films are still likely to be hits. There is no doubt the studios will be giving a nice healthy budget toward a Constantine follow-up given all the factors. It could bring back the trend of the superhero sequel being superior to the original. If it's true that Francis Lawrence, who has refined his skills as a director and become much more experienced since the original, is returning to direct, Constantine II might be a welcome surprise sometime in 2025. Number 7, The Accountant 2. Ben Affleck, John Bernthal, and J.K. Simmons are set to reprise their roles in this sequel. And I have to say, at first, I was not a fan of how they portrayed autism. But then again, autism looks differently in each person. We're going to be seeing Christian work with Medina, a treasury agent, to solve a murder of her boss. I'm really curious as to how this is all going to play out, and I can't wait to see it. Alas, we won't be able to check this out until maybe sometime in 2025. In the meantime, don't miss out on the first film. It was awesome. Number 8, Avatar 3, 4, and 5. Although it took a while for Avatar 2 to hit theaters, principal photography for all of number 3 and some of number 4 was allegedly done when Avatar 2 hit theaters. James Cameron's sci-fi space epics are, at the very least, groundbreaking technical marvels, and that alone is reason to be excited for the sequels. While the series is frequently argued to be overrated, the movies themselves have so far been pretty good. Avatar 2 exceeded expectations both for the fans and fiscally. It was all in all a great sequel, and James Cameron himself is the master of sequels. 2 of the 4 sequels he's done, Aliens and Terminator 2, are regarded as some of the best ever. According to 20th Century Studio execs, Avatar 4 has one of the best scripts they've ever read. Overall, it's exciting to see Cameron expand the world he created with his characters, immersive storytelling, and effects that put everyone else's to shame. Right now, the release for Avatar 3 is 2025, with 4 and 5 set for 2029 and 2031, respectively. Number 9. Jurassic World 4. Jurassic World 4, Jurassic Park 7, or, rumor alert, Jurassic City. Whatever Universal wants to call the 7th installment in their behemoth Jurassic franchise, I'm in. Although it seems like they're blazing through production, after all, they are releasing a new film not too long after their finale, Jurassic World Dominion. Luckily, the flick appears to have lots of positive momentum. There are quite a few steady, skilled hands on the project. Franchise veteran writer David Koepp, who scribed the original Jurassic Park as well as The Lost World, before all the rewrites, has scripted the new installment. Director Garth Edwards, most notable for launching the MonsterVerse with 2014's Godzilla, as well as directing fan and critical darling Star Wars Rogue One, is attached to direct. In the silver screen enchantress, Scarlett Johansson is set to lead the film, with production having already begun. Universal's aimed release date is July 2nd, 2025, less than a year away. Since the date is everywhere on the early promotion, they seem fairly confident in the production, so we'll see next year. Number 10. The Batman Part 2. Matt Reeves will return to helm this epic take on Batman, with Robert Pattinson once again portraying the Caped Crusader. The Batman was more in vein of Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, whose aesthetic and tone work well with the Batman mythos. Aside from Zoe Kravitz as Catwoman, my favorite aspect of the film was that the filmmakers really lean into the detective element seen in the comics. With the same team behind Part 2 as Part 1, a bigger budget and more creative freedom, I'm looking forward to see how Reeves and his team continue the story. I'm just crossing my fingers that they fix the pacing problem the Batman has. The Batman Part 2 is currently scheduled to swoop into theaters in October of 2026, so make sure to keep an eye out for that.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Hi, I'm Lacey Jane, and these are my designs. Some of my pieces will be in an upcoming showcase at the Annex. If you like what you see, find me at Lacey Jane's Designs on Facebook. You can also follow me on Instagram at Lacey Jane Designs, where you can also contact me if you'd like to purchase any of my artworks. Thanks again.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
Number 11. Captain America 4, Brave New World. The Captain America sequels are widely regarded as some of Marvel Cinematic Universe's best films, which is a high bar in itself, as the MCU contains some of the best comic book films ever made. Fan sentiment is that the MCU has lost their way, and my unpopular opinion, at least amongst the general audience, is that it's simply untrue. That is an argument for another video though. Regardless of how you feel about post-Endgame MCU, another Captain America film, particularly one with Falcon donning the shield, has long been anticipated since Cap passed the proverbial torch at the end of Avengers Endgame. Captain America: Brave New World is set for release February 14th, 2025, and we're ready to see this on the big screen. Number 12, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera. This is gonna be epic, as we're following Big Nick over to Europe to chase down Donnie, whose next target is supposed to be a diamond heist. At least that's where we left off. But we aren't too sure on the details. Not much has been released about this film, but we do know that Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson Jr. are coming back to reprise their roles. And I couldn't be any more excited. With the way the first one was, with all the action and double crossing, I was left wanting more. And it's finally happening. You will have to check this out when it's released on January 10th, 2025. Number 13, Dirty Dancing 2. When I say Dirty Dancing 2, I mean the first official follow-up to the 80s original starring Patrick Swayze and Jennifer Grey. Although it was originally set for release this year, it is now scheduled for the 2025 slate, with Jennifer Grey returning as Baby. Jonathan Levine, director of critically acclaimed cult films like 50-50 and Warm Bodies, will take his seat in the director's chair. His presence suggests there will be real grounded sentiments in which he'll explore themes of love and loss. But that's just my own speculation. Currently, there are several writers attached. Mickey Daughtry stands out for having written 5 Feet Apart, which also explores themes of love and loss in a sometimes gut-wrenching way. But we'll see what really happens when this releases sometime in 2025. Number 14, Evil Dead 6. Evil Dead is one of the most acclaimed horror franchises, boasting striking visuals, unhinged camera work, twisted humor, and over-the-top brutal deaths. The filmmakers have used so much fake blood in the series that the 2013 Evil Dead still holds the record for most fake blood used in a film. What's even cooler is both 2013 and Evil Dead Rise dig deeper, using the stories as a mediation on other motifs, like addiction, grief, and even motherhood. The untitled Evil Dead is said to be more of a spin-off according to French director Sebastian Vanek. But all of the new Evil Dead films have been standalone, with only loose connection to the others. That being said, release is set for sometime in 2026. Number 15, Fast and Furious 11. Also known as Fast X Part 2, Fast 11, or whatever focus group title Universal slaps on their final installment in the Fast saga, will rev its way into theaters tentatively in 2026. Most of the Fast and Furious 11's production delays have been due to the writers and actors strike that occurred last year. Fast X ended on a cliffhanger, despite the filmmakers not even having a script for the second part. New writers are currently penning the finale. It's unfortunate that writer Chris Morgan, who penned 3 through 8, isn't returning to finish out a franchise him and director Justin Lin are largely the architects of. Even as a fan of the franchise, I'm aware its creative and emotional peak was Furious 7. Regardless, I'd like to see the series ride off into the sunset, hopefully on a high note. We'll have to wait until 2026 sometime to know for sure. Number 16, Final Destination 6. Though the series is known for its grisly, creative Rube Goldberg-esque deaths, it is not without thought-provoking existential themes. The franchise itself is a cut above the rest, despite its weak 4th installment, and it seemingly ended in 2011 on an incredibly high note. I'm actually torn on seeing another film in the franchise, since I feel 5 concluded the series impeccably. But Final Destination Bloodlines has already wrapped filming, so I'll go in cautiously optimistic. Bloodlines is touted as the prequel, which means that Final Destination 5 is still the official ending. Make sure to wait for the trailer, which should be dropping sometime soon. Final Destination 6 is set to be released sometime in 2025 to coincide with the 25th anniversary of the original. Number 17, Night Has Fallen. The series that began with Olympus Has Fallen in 2013 and was recently dubbed the Has Fallen franchise will continue its story with The Night Has Fallen. Gerard Butler will once again be reprising his role as protagonist Mike Banning. Hard details on this film have been scarce, and several setbacks, including a lawsuit, have delayed the production. It seems that the filmmakers are tweaking a script for Night Has Fallen, and hope that this franchise doesn't run out of juice anytime soon. The franchise provides mindless, easy-to-indulge popcorn entertainment. Gerard Butler, though typecast, plays his part well with his undeniable charisma and screen presence. I personally hope they get a little weird with the franchise if they want this to have staying power in the long run. Hopefully we'll see a trailer here very soon, as it's supposed to be released later this year. Number 18, I Am Legend 2. When I Am Legend came out in 2007, Will Smith's career was nearly as hot as it was in the mid-90s. The film itself was praised for Smith's performance as well as many of the special effects, particularly the digital environments. The ending itself was the biggest complaint amongst fans, to the point many have adapted the alternate ending as not only superior, but also the real ending. The studio seems to agree because I Am Legend 2 continues from that ending. Will Smith will be starring alongside Michael B. Jordan. However, there is no official release date as of yet. There is still some fine-tuning that needs to be done with the script. But we'll keep you updated as we find out more. Number 19, Kingsman, The Blue Blood. Matthew Vaughn, a truly underappreciated director, will return to helm Kingsman Blue Blood, the fourth installment, if you include the prequel in this sleek and stylish Kingsman franchise. Vaughn also directed X-Men First Class and Kick-Ass, both which feature as much eye-popping style as they do cerebral nourishment. Colin Firth and Taron Egerton are both set to reprise their roles as Harry and Eggsy in Blue Blood. The film will supposedly conclude those characters' particular arcs, but I'm sure the franchise will continue if this installment is successful enough. Due to Egerton's busy schedule, filming is unlikely to begin until next year. All involved are aiming for a 2026 release date. Number 20, Live, Die, Repeat, and Repeat. Although the first film was originally titled Edge of Tomorrow, Warner Brothers decided to soft change the title to Live, Die, Repeat during its home release. Live, Die, Repeat was originally the tagline, which caught on and intrigued audiences more than the original name. It is a brilliant action sci-fi version of Groundhog Day. Although it was just enough of a hit when it came out to break even, but not enough of a smash hit for the studio to move forth on a sequel. It's become somewhat of a cult classic that fans have been clamoring for a follow-up. Luckily, Tom Cruise, who's hot off of Top Gun and Mission Impossible sequels, has expressed interest in doing a follow-up, as well as Emily Blunt. Currently, there are no hard dates on any of this, but we'll let you know when we find out. Thanks for checking out the video. Did we leave any films off the list? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to tap that bell icon to stay up to date with our latest releases. You can reach out to us on Twitter or X at StudiosFat, or chat with us on Discord, linked below. Make sure to check out our very own merch store located at fatninja.shop. All proceeds go towards our next film project, so we'd greatly appreciate it. I've been your host, Jamie. Thanks again. Take care.